That's a little better. We are actually reading The Body. I am Lady Rain, and I read. Sometimes I just talk, sometimes I play a game, but lately I've been reading. So we are reading The Body, which was made into a movie called Stand By Me back in the 80s. We have about 30 pages to go, so we'll see how far we can get today. We may finish it. The boys just discovered the body, and they're in the process of getting found out by Ace Merrill and his gang. So let's see what happens, shall we? We all jumped like we had been goosed, and Vern cried out. He admitted later that he thought for just a second that the voice had come from the dead body. On the far side of the boggy patch, where the woods took up again, masking the butt end of the road, Ace Merrill and Eyeball Chambers stood together, half obscured by a pouring gray curtain of rain. They were both wearing red nylon high school jackets, the kind you buy in the office if you're a regular student, the same kind they give you free to varsity sports players. Their DA haircuts had been plastered back against their skulls, and the mixture of rainwater and Vitalis ran down their cheeks like ersatz tears. Some bitch, Eyeball said. It's my little brother. He's talking about Chris. Chris was staring at Eyeball with his mouth open. His shirt, wet, limp, and dark, was still tied around his skinny middle. His pack, stained a darker green by the rain, was hanging against his naked shoulder blades. You get away, Rich, he said in a trembling voice. We found him. We got dibs. Fuck your dibs. We're going to report him. No, you're not, I said. I was suddenly furious with them. Turning up this way at the last minute, if we'd thought about it, we'd have known something like this was going to happen, but this was the one time somehow that the older brother, bigger kids, weren't going to steal it. To take something they wanted, as if by divine right, as if their easy way was the right way, the only way. They had come in cars. I think that was what made me angriest. They had come in cars. There's 4 of us, Eyeball. You just try. Oh, we'll try, don't worry, Eyeball said. And the trees shook behind him and Ace. Charlie Hogan and Vern's brother Billy stood through them, cursing and wiping water out of their eyes. I felt a lead ball drop in my belly. It grew bigger as Jack Mudgett, Fuzzy Brockowitz, and Vance Desjardins stepped out behind Charlie and Billy. Here we all are, Ace said, grinning. So you just... Vern! Billy Tessio cried in a terrible, accusing, my judgment cometh, and that right early voice. He made a pair of dripping fists. You little son of a whore. You was under the porch. Cock knocker. Vern flinched. Charlie Hogan waxed positively lyrical. You little keyhole peeping cunt licking bung wipe. I ought to beat the living shit out of you. You? We'll try it, Teddy brayed suddenly. His eyes were crazily alit behind his rain-spotted glasses. Come on. Fight you for 'em. Come on, big men. Billy and Charlie didn't need a second invitation. They started forward together, and Vern flinched again. No doubt, visualizing the ghosts of beating past and beatings yet to come, he flinched, but hung through. He was with his friends, and we had been through a lot, and we didn't get here in a couple of cars. But Ace held Billy and Charlie back simply by touching each of them on the shoulder. Now listen, you guys, Ace said. He spoke patiently, just as if we weren't all standing in a roaring rainstorm. There's more of us than there are of you. We're bigger. We'll give you one chance to just blow away. I don't give a fuck where. Just make like a tree and leave. Chris's brother giggled. Fuzzy clapped Ace on the back in anticipation of his great wit. Oh, excuse me, in appreciation of his great wit. The Sid Caesar of the JD said, "'Cause we're taking him." Ace smiled gently, and you could imagine him smiling the same gentle smile just before breaking his cue over the head of some uneducated punk who had made a terrible mistake of lipping off while Ace was lining up a shot. If you go, we'll take him. If you stay, we'll beat the piss out of you and still take him. Besides, he added, trying to gild the thuggery with a little righteousness, Charlie and Billy found him, so it's their dibs anyway. They was chicken, Teddy shot back. Vern told us about it. It was fucking chicken, right out of their fucking minds. He screwed his face up into a terrible, sniveling parody of Charlie Hogan. I wish we never boosted that car. I wish we never went out on the back Harlow Road to whack off a piece. Oh, Billy, what are we going to do? Oh, Billy, I think I just turned my Fruit of the Looms into a fudge factory. Oh, Billy. That's it, Charlie said, starting forward again. His face was knotted with rage and sullen embarrassment. Kid, whatever your name is, get ready to reach down your fucking throat the next time you need to pick your nose. I looked wildly down at Ray Brower. He stared calmly up into the rain with his one eye. Below us, but above it all, the thunder was still booming steadily, but the rain had begun to slack off. What do you say, Gordy? Ace asked. He was holding Charlie lightly by the arm, the way an accomplished trainer would restrain a vicious dog. You must have at least some of your brother's sense. Tell these guys to back off. I'll let Charlie beat up the Four Eyes El Punko a little bit, and then we'll go about our business. What do you say? He was wrong to mention Denny. I had wanted to reason with him, to point out that Ace knew perfectly well that we had every right to take Billy and Charlie's dibs, since Vern had heard them giving said dibs away. I wanted to tell him how Vern and I had almost gotten run down by a freight train on the trestle, which spans the Castle River, about Milo Pressman and his fearless, if stupid, sidekick, Chopper the Wonder Dog, about the bloodsuckers, too. I guess all I really wanted to tell him was, come on, Ace, fair is fair, you know that. But he had to bring Denny into it. And what I heard coming out of my mouth instead of sweet reason was my own death warrant. Suck my fat one, you cheap dime store hood. Ace's mouth formed a perfect O of surprise. The expression was so unexpectedly prissy that under other circumstances it would have been a laugh riot, so to speak. All the others, on both sides of the bog, stared at me dumbfounded. Then Teddy screamed gleefully, That's telling him, Gordy. Oh boy, too cool. I stood numbly, unable to believe it. It was like some crazed understudy had shot on stage at the critical moment and declaimed lines that weren't even in the play. Telling a guy to suck was as bad as you could get without resorting to his mother. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that Chris had unshouldered his knapsack and was digging into it frantically. But I didn't get it. And then, not then anyway. Okay, as Ace said softly, let's take him. Don't hurt nobody but the chance kid. I'm gonna break both his fucking arms. I went dead cold. I didn't piss myself the way I had on the railroad trestle, but it must have been because I had nothing inside to let out. He meant it, you see. The years between then and now had changed my mind about a lot of things, but not about that. When Ace said he was going to break both of my arms, he absolutely meant it. They started to walk toward us, through the slackening rain. Jackie Mudgett took a switch knife, come here, out of his pocket and hit the chrome. 6 inches of steel flicked out. Dove gray in the afternoon half-light. Vern and Teddy dropped suddenly into fighting crouches on either side of me. Teddy did so eagerly. Vern with desperate, cornered grimace on his face. The big kids advanced in a line, their feet splashing through the bog, which was now one big sludgy puddle because of the storm. The body of Ray Brower lay at our feet like a waterlogged barrel. I got ready to fight. And that was when Chris fired the pistol he had hawked out of his old man's dresser. Kablam! God, what a wonderful sound that was. Chris Hogan jumped right up in the air. Ace Merrill, who had been staring straight at me, now jerked around and looked at Chris. His mouth made that O again. Eyeball looked absolutely astounded. Hey, Chris, that's Daddy's, he said. You're going to get the tar whaled out of you? There's nothing to what you'll get, Chris said. That's nothing to what you'll get, Chris said. His face was horribly pale, and all the life in him seemed to have been sucked upward into his eyes. They blazed out of his face. Gordy was right. You're nothing but a bunch of cheap hoods. Charlie and Billy didn't want their fucking dibs. And you all know it. We didn't have to walk way the fuck out here if they said they did. Or we wouldn't have walked way out here. They just went someplace and puked the story up and let Ace Merrill do their thinking for him. His voice rose to a storm. But you ain't gonna get him. Do you hear me? Now listen, Ace said. You better put that down before you take your foot off with it.